Hi there. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to go over the best resources to get more information if you think that your chicken is ill with something. And then in the next video, I'm going to go over the actual illnesses themselves and the different things that you might face when you're taking care of these chickens. Once again, the snow melted here significantly, and then now today we're getting quite a bit of snow. So it's been a weird winter for sure. Normally we would just stay snow covered in January here, and it would stay that way through February, and then in March we might have this going on, but I think everybody can relate that weather everywhere is weird kind of year round nowadays. So anyway, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to start with kind of the least helpful resource for what we're talking about today, and then moving into the most helpful. So first, you can Google chicken illness questions or symptoms, of course, but this can provide either too much information or be overwhelming. It may also be vague and not address your questions fully. Also, you may not be able to really diagnose your chicken's issue very well by Googling just the symptoms. So much like when we try to Google our own symptoms when we're sick, we're going to get results that could be, hey, you have this anywhere from 1 to 50 different normal and common problems, or you might be terminally fatal, right? So it's not going to be your best option for pinpointing more direct answers, but it can be a helpful tool. I will say, once you're pretty sure of what your chicken's issue is, if you look up, okay, I know my chicken has bumblefoot now, which we're going to cover in the next video, how do I treat it? Then, of course, you're going to get some better results doing that. Next, you could also buy a chicken care book that you kind of treat like an encyclopedia. Something you can reference as needed, or look up symptoms, illnesses, and how to treat them as things come up. Early on in our chicken keeping journey, we did order a book, and that was after doing a lot of research on what might be the best book for chicken care. And I was still not impressed with the particular book I bought, so I'm not going to be making a recommendation here for that. Most of it was very repetitive and gave obvious information over and over, such as stating that keeping your coop clean and giving them fresh food and water would prevent a lot of illness. I mean, yes, that's kind of obvious and it's a given, but what else? I did like one feature in the back, which was more what I was looking for, and it listed several common illnesses and physical injuries that chickens can encounter, but it still wasn't as helpful as I hoped it would be. Now, these last two items are what I found to be the most helpful on our journey in chicken keeping. The first is to join a backyard chicken Facebook group or other social media group for backyard chickens. They are wonderful. There are several of them that you can choose from, and all seem to offer similar benefits. You'll find a range of newer chicken keepers mixed with seasoned chicken keepers in these groups. Everyone uses the groups to share fun, funny, or sweet posts about their chickens interacting with their kids, pets, other farm animals, but another very common thing that happens in those groups is newer chicken keepers will post questions along with photos of their chicken with the illness, symptoms, or physical injuries that they might have, and asking for advice about how to treat them, or hey, what is this that I have going on? And honestly, I have learned the fastest and most about chicken illness and treatment by being a part of these groups and reading all of these posts. Different people will often post similar or the same scenarios over and over, and as you review the responses from experienced chicken keepers, you'll also learn quickly and be able to commit that information to memory faster than you might think. And then, as I found, it won't be long before you're the one answering questions for someone else new to chickens, because you know a lot of the answers now too. It's also interesting to see people have some of the same illnesses seasonally, so that gives you some deeper knowledge about chicken care and their needs throughout the seasons and other scenarios, such as things that can come up when you have a rooster in your flock versus not having a rooster, for example. Also, these groups often have people living in several different regions in the US or other countries, so you'll get different perspectives on pest, predator, and weather-related issues that can affect chickens. Next, I've mentioned in other videos that we have a lot of friends and acquaintances who have either kept chickens or are living the homestead lifestyle already and have for several years before we started. So obviously they are a fantastic resource for those complex questions that you just know the internet isn't going to be able to fully answer for you. Or if you need to have more of a back and forth conversation, this is obviously a great option. We have a lot of friends like this, so this has been my other staple go-to for chicken related questions. Now, if you're completely new to this lifestyle, and let's say you've just moved to a rural area that's new to you, and you know either no one or almost no one there, keep in mind that you will soon. And here's some tips on how to get involved in your area. Get to know your neighbors. Tell them that you have chickens and ask if they know someone else who does, if they don't themselves, who would be willing to answer questions for you as needed. Tell them more about your other homestead goals if you feel like it. Have a conversation. Join your local neighborhood or small town Facebook group. Nearly every place has these now. For example, I was surprised to learn last year the very small community that I live in, with probably less than 1,000 people in our, area, has a neighborhood Facebook group that's just for our, couple of streets and very tiny part of the region that we live in. I'm in other groups for our county, of course, and larger towns that are near me, for example. But the neighborhood watch types of groups with smaller amounts of people in them, these can be a great resource getting to know more neighbors or people that are just in close proximity to you. You're also likely going to be a part of your community in other ways, such as your job, if you're working outside the house and homestead, your kids' school, if that applies, church, or other community organizations. So you'll meet people doing similar or the same as you in terms of lifestyle and get to build those relationships. And you'll find people will be welcoming once they learn that you've moved to their area because you want to live a similar lifestyle to theirs. Birds of a feather flock together, right? See what I did there? Lastly, I want to explain why we need to have some basic knowledge of chicken illness, disease, and injuries and how to treat them ourselves. I've mentioned in prior videos that for the most part, chicken keepers don't take their birds to the vet, but I've not really explained why. So first, a regular veterinarian that you would take your dog, cat, maybe even other birds or exotic pets to see, they will not see chickens. If you want to take a sick chicken to the vet, you have to locate an avian vet near you. So normally that's also going to mean if you're living in a more rural area, you'll have to drive farther to get to the avian vet, which is going to take more time and likely even more money out of your pocket. And vets are pricey already. So taking a chicken to the vet is just not so simple in that regard. Next, chicken illness can happen fast, and if it's something internal or a severe virus that you can't see, you may not even have time to get to a vet before they pass away. This is where you hear that common phrase that chicken keepers say often, that chickens, quote unquote, just die all the time. That really can be a thing with these chickens. Unfortunately, they aren't meant to live long lives, and while they're hardy in a lot of ways, they are not really a farm animal with longevity on their side. This happened to us with a few chickens. I'll give you one example. A chicken was perfectly fine one day. I went out the next morning and they seemed a little off, standing still, not being themselves, just not their typical behavior. Then I looked at the condition of their comb and noticed their body was puffed up. I stayed in the coop a little longer and watched and realized that they hadn't been eating and drinking. But then I had to go back inside to get back to my work from home office job. At 2:15 p.m., I took my 15-minute break, went outside to check on the chicken, only to find said chicken deceased on the floor of the coop. No visible external signs of injury, no idea why it passed. At first, we were worried about some virus that might end up infecting the entire flock, but as the next few days went by, we noted the rest of the flock was fine and no one else was showing any other signs of illness. So we realized it was something that only affected that chicken and was not likely something we could have done much about. We've lost 5 chickens over the last 2 years to varying different things. Also, like many animals, chickens are masters at hiding illness or injury when they can and up to the point that they can't any longer. So something will be brewing in them and you won't know about it until it's too late many times. This, of course, is for self-protection, which we can explore more in another video. But chickens are not loyal to each other, really. They will know if someone in the flock is sick before you do, and their next move will be to peck at that chicken and be mean to it, keep it from eating the food and drinking the water, keeping it away from the rest of the flock. They do this because they understand a sick or slow chicken could draw predators to the whole flock and basically, be a risk to everyone. So all of that being considered, you want to balance being able to treat and give basic medical care to your chickens on your own at home with planning to do that on a limited basis and within your means. You also want to mentally prepare for the fact that they may not be with you as long as your dog or cat might be. And have a plan for what you're going to do when a chicken does pass. Will you bury it on your property? Are you even allowed or able to do that? Do you have a way to dispose of it, sadly, if you're not going to bury it? So once again, thanks for stopping by today. Please like, subscribe, or check out my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description of this video to help our channel out. We'll see you again soon.